Hello, and we are live on the United Public Radio Network, UPRN 107.7 FM, New Orleans. How cool is that? And of course, we're also being live streamed everywhere podcasts live, so um, we're not hard to find. To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is Father Shawn's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Father Shawn Whittington. I am a ordained Catholic priest with the United States Old Catholic Church. I am a fully professed brother with the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary. I am a team member with Society of St. Benedict, and I'm co-founder of GhostBegone.biz. And what else do I want to tell you guys? And yeah, I'm that guy on Eli Roth Presents The Legion of Exorcists on Travel Channel, currently streaming everywhere if you haven't caught it yet. And for all those people that continue to discover the show out there in streaming world, and they reach out to me with such wonderful comments and support, God bless you for that. That means a lot to me. And it just a little over a year out since the premiere, and people are still discovering it. And I'm getting a lot of really good support from that. So that means a lot to me. It makes me feel good. If there's anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. And if you go there to visit, remember my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So trust me, brothers and sisters, I know times are tough. But if you're able to do so and you see the donate button, click on it and send my ministry in a small donation. I promise you it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. And trust me, we'll put it to good use. There's a lot of cool things there to see at the website. My books are there, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry, and God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry 2. I just happen to have 2 copies I'm getting ready to mail out now. God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry 2. God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry. And working on a third one. What else do I want to tell you guys? You can get the books a little less expensive at Amazon. If you buy them off the website, they leave my office from here. And I autograph them and I enclose them in a beautiful house blessing kit, which might come in handy. And the beautiful thing about that is if you get them off the website, part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my books go to support stjude.org, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada, and the ASPCA. So how cool is that? Get to help some of the neediest children on the planet and the animals too. 2 beautiful causes. So that's a very special thing about that. But like I said, they're a little less expensive at Amazon, and Amazon will ship them direct to you. And they also are available now in an audio version, which that's really awesome. So what else is there? My online course is there, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare. It's a 12-week online course. And this course is for all you true warriors for Christ out there that want to learn how to draw your line in the sand, make a stand, put up a good fight, God forbid, perhaps the fight of your life against true evil if it ever comes calling, God forbid. That's the course for you. There's no other course like it out there on the market, no other instructor, yours truly, like me out there and teaching that type of course. So it's very special. And all my students that graduate get a stunning diploma, certificate of completion, suited for framing, along with some other very blessed items that you can only get from yours truly. And that's for my graduates. And it's just a very special course. And we are taking open enrollment now for the fall 2024 class, if you're interested. And if you want more information about the course before making that type of commitment, just reach out to me. We'll talk about it and we'll see if the course, is right for you. There's also a place on the website where you can make an appointment to speak with me about your spiritual issues, not paranormal, but spiritual. And there's also a special arrangement on there where you can make an appointment to speak with me in person. Um, if you're a local Las Vegas, live here locally, I can meet with you too. We can make an appointment for that. But otherwise than that, we can make an appointment for phone, Zoom, Skype, Facebook Live, chat, whatever you want, whatever works for you. All righty. What is cool today about my Friday show? I have an awesome, awesome co host. But you all already knew that, and that's why you tune in. She's a friend. I love her. I respect her. I've known her a long time, and she's a lifelong paranormal experiencer and had a show just like this, a very popular show just like this, many years ago that ran for a while. And now I'm lucky enough to catch her at a time where she was able to give me an hour every Friday afternoon and join me and help me do the shows. So without further ado, please give a big, warm Paranormal Ministry family welcome to the one and only owner of Stellium Books, my publisher, Annette Munich.
Hi, Shawn. Hi, everybody. I'm glad to be here.
What are you doing?
Thank you for the great introduction.
Always.
I got I have a question today that came in through me.
I've already got a couple of text messages here. What happened to your opening? You were just all of a sudden live. I can't find. See, I'm new to this. I'm computer illiterate. I'm new to this format here, and I couldn't find my opening today.
Yeah,
It's just
I,
not
I,
there.
I looked in the list too, and I didn't see it. So if you're crazy, so am I. If you're
Okay.
senile, so am I. I don't know. I didn't see it either.
And here's another thing that I want to just throw out there to everybody right now. I hope this doesn't start becoming a habit with the show. We have a very special guest who's a longtime friend of mine. You've met her, you love her, I love her. And I just talked to her a few minutes ago. She's having issues logging on with her phone and needed me to email her the link. Unfortunately, I just had a few minutes before we went live, didn't have time to do that. And I'm not even so sure I know how to get that link to her other than the way I normally send it to her through Messenger. So she was going to try and log on with her phone and if she could, and if she's able to get here, and it just sounds terrible and it looks terrible, and she's uncomfortable with the arrangement, the situation, then we'll just cut her loose and reschedule her. But Trish Mo was supposed to be here, psychic, host of the Missing Piece with Trish Mo, which I've been a guest on. So, like I said, I'm a little disappointed. I haven't been able to hook up with her, but she may pop in here, so we'll see. So it looks like it's another impromptu. Um,
Look who's here.
Look who's here. Before I pull her on, and from what I can tell, she looks great. So, anything you want to say to everybody before we check the prayer urn?
Hello to Camilla and Roberta, and my little heart for Roberta. And I was going to show the bracelet if you had time to load that where people could see it. But if not, we'll
you
put it.
sent,
It's all
you
right.
sent it to me
We
like
do have it because we weren't going to really give one away today, but we will be giving away a Medjugorje bracelet and the stones are from the beads are stones from Apparition Hill, and it's blessed there locally before it's sent to me. And we will be giving out a bracelet, and then also they'll be for sale. And I do have a photo made of it, and we'll put it up on Facebook, and we'll have it for next week. But everybody that's interested in that, we will update you next week. And then we have some really nice stuff coming on coming up for the holidays. We have some frankincense incense, and you are gonna bless some of those for people, and we can give away some incense and also have those for sale. And so that'll be kind of cool. And I have a Christmas bracelet. Hi, Infinite Joy. And I have a special question today, and maybe Trish might have some ideas on it because somebody came to me and it's really kind of interesting, but it's something that you have dealt with. So I wanted to ask about it today.
Very, very, very cool. Yeah, I this was an easy show to prepare for. As soon as I announced she was going to be here, some of her fans and followers sent me questions to ask her. So I've got a small list of stuff I'm going to ask her from fans and followers of hers. But let's check the prayer urn in the mailbag real quick, and then we'll get her on. This is from Amber W in Nebraska. Hi, Amber.
Hi, Amber.
Oh, this looks like a very special one. My husband and I are not Catholic, but we both believe in God. I'm with child and want to have my baby baptized Catholic. Will that be possible? And could you pray for my baby? That's a beautiful request. You know what? Um, Amber, check with your local Catholic diocese in your area. I'm almost positive. I'm almost positive that as long as you and your husband both have a founded hope in raising that child Catholic, I don't think there's going to be an issue, and I think you can still have your baby baptized. If there's a couple of hoops to jump through, it wouldn't be much. Maybe send you or your husband, one of you, um, as the parent, to maybe a catechism course for adults, a short catechism course for adults, and get baptized yourself and become Catholic. But I don't think it's going to be an issue. But would you do me a big favor, Amber? As soon as you talk to your local Catholic diocese about that, get back to me and let me know what they said. But I'm almost positive it's not going to be an issue. If that's what you and your husband want to do, and you express that to the priest, I think it's going to be okay. But yes, I'm going to offer up a very beautiful prayer, and I already know which prayer I want to offer up for you. It's going to be to the infant baby Jesus of Prague. And I know there's a place in that prayer where I can also offer up a personal prayer for you too. Prayer to the miraculous infant of Prague. I offer this prayer up for Amber, her husband, and her newborn baby, or actually her baby, which will be on the way here very shortly. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Dear Jesus, little infant of Prague, how tenderly you love us. Your greatest joy is to dwell among us and to bestow your blessings upon us. So many who turn to you with confidence have received graces and had their petitions granted. I also come before you now with this special request. Dear Lord, please send the Holy Spirit down to enter and intervene in the lives of Amber, her husband, and her unborn child, which is on the way, and let there be no issues with getting her child baptized, and bring that whole family back into the loving arms of God. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Dear infant, rule over me, and do with me and mine as you will. For I know that you are your divine wisdom, and your love will arrange everything for the best. Do not withdraw hand from me, but protect me and bless me forever. Dear infant, please keep me in your needs, make me truly happy with you in time and in eternity, and I shall thank you forever with all my heart. Amen. Okay,
Amen.
you know what? Um, Amber, you didn't ask for this, but as soon as the show's over, I'm going to go into the room in my home here where I light candles for people, and I will light a candle for you, your husband, and your baby, and for everything to work out for you. Okay, but please, after you talk to your local diocese, get back to me. All righty, mailbag. And if we have time later on and I don't forget again, remind me about the weekly joke. I forgot the last couple of weeks. It slipped my mind to not do it, probably because we ran out of time. But I've actually gotten a bunch of people asking what happened to the weekly joke. So I'm ready for that. Don't let me forget this week. This is from Benny J in New York. Hi, Benny.
Hi, Benny.
As a Catholic, is it okay to celebrate Halloween? Can one overdo it on decorations? You know what? That is a good question for my guest because I know her and her daughter enjoy Halloween, and I haven't had a chance to ask her yet if they had a chance to enjoy Halloween this year. Real quick, in a nutshell, it's all intent, Benny. I still put decorations up. I'm not big on witches and devils and stuff, but a skeleton here or there, carve a pumpkin. No kids come to my haunted home anymore for candy. But if you have kids in your neighborhood and you just want to be nice and put out a pumpkin and hand out candy at Halloween, or you have kids and want to take them trick or treating, I don't see an issue with that. But I did work a case where that was an issue. I walked into this woman's home, ceiling to floor, wall to wall, in every room. Her home was like a place where you go to buy Halloween decorations. And she had a lot of issues, but I think it was more due to many of her Halloween decorations were antiques that she had purchased, and some of them might have had attachments, but I don't know. But that could have contributed to that being an issue. But otherwise than that, like I said, it's intent. If you're just celebrating it just to have fun and it's innocent, I don't see an issue. What do you think, Annette?
Same. We
Same.
always do Halloween. I had Halloween with the kids and just, carving pumpkins and some decorations and candy and let the kids dress up. And, again, like you said, it can be just a night of fun and I'll be very benign and not something dark at all. Some people, that's a night that they do supernatural things, but if you're just, I guess it's your level of what you see it for. I don't know.
Well, that is going to be a great question. It's meant to be for my guest. I know sure her and her daughter enjoy Halloween, and they've gone out and had fun doing it before. So, are you ready to bring her back on? It's been a while since you two chatted. I'm gonna let you chat with her this time. Brothers and sisters, you all tuned in for her. I'm glad she made it. Hopefully, she look from what I can tell, she looks very pretty today. She looks good. I'm sure the audio is going to be great. Um, she was the host, and we're all hoping she brings it back one day. A very popular podcast, The Missing Piece with Trish Mo. I love her and I respect her. She's super cool, and she's also an artist. And I've been on her show, and she's been on here before, so she's basically backed by extreme popular demand. Please give a big, warm Paranormal Ministry family welcome to Trish Mo.
Hi, Trish.
Hi.
Welcome back. Welcome back. So
Thank
glad to
you.
see you.
Are you on your phone?
No, no.
Oh, well, I was going to say you look great and sound great, so.
Okay, you can hear me. Great. No, I'm in the studio. So I kind of, it's one of those things where it's not my setup. So I don't know where anything is. And
Well, you know
so,
me, I am so computer illiterate. I rushed over here real quick and looked around. I'm trying to figure out a way to email the link to you. Usually I have Michelle DeRoche, my producer, do that. Um, but I couldn't find it. And then I get on here and I couldn't find my show opening. But I had Annette look too, and Annette couldn't find it. So we'll get all of that worked out. But I'm so glad you're here because as soon as
yes.
like Monday, when I told everybody you were going to be on, everybody just started reaching out to me, and everybody loves
Really?
you, and
They didn't forget about me, huh?
no, they didn't forget about you. But I will off the top here before I let you and Annette chat. Um, Two things. I know Camilla is in the audience listening. She was wondering if that stuff I sent you about her issues when she was young, you might have an answer for her. And I hopefully she doesn't mind us talking about it live on air. But also, you have a lot of people that reached out to me this week wanting to know what happened to the podcast. And do you plan to bring that back?
I do. So that's my life is in constant transition, even as a person, you know, I'm constantly transforming, constantly changing, because I learn, you know, every single day. I learn new things. I learn, my beliefs change, because it's one of those things we don't know until we know. So I've been thinking about that a lot, you know, based on, like, you all were talking about Halloween, you know, and if people decorated and things like that. This year, I actually didn't, because not because I absolutely love the holiday. I love dressing up, things like that. But sometimes, you know, decorations can be completely innocent if you don't attach meaning to them, you know. And for us, for people in our line of work, it's hard to do that because, for instance, if I were to put, I don't know, a statue of Bigfoot in my yard, I promise you, I would run into Bigfoot like within the next few days, because it's one of those things, like it's
Yeah.
manifest. I was joking with my dad. I'm like, I should put like a, you know, people put like body bags in the front yard and stuff that look like, you know, crime scene. I'm like, ooh, I probably shouldn't have said that, because I'm going to stumble across a crime scene here in the next few days. And that's like, so I'm always very conscientious now about what I read, what I listen to. You know, every one of your see no, hear no, speak no evil type, you know, it's one of those, like, those are all literally portals to your soul, you know, the eyes are the windows to the soul. So everything, I'm very conscientious about what comes into my energy now, because I know Annette and I spoke of this last time I was on. Even things that I read, you know, if I read a book, it's probably going to come true, like, in my life. If it's just the way it works. So
Well,
You know,
that
it's
woman that I was speaking about, it was she didn't even mention it to me before I went to her home, and when my wife and I walked in her home, we were actually taken back. And at first you think, wow, this lady's super into Halloween, but then it
right.
hit me like a bolt of lightning that, oh, there's issues here possibly because of all this. I mean, every room in the home,
Yeah.
garage included, closets, ceiling to floor, wall to wall, all these decorations. But then as I started peeling the layers away, I realized she has a lot of that's big business too, antique Halloween
Hmm.
decorations. And
Yeah.
these decorations were moving on their own and disappearing and appearing in another room on their own and all kinds of crazy stuff. And she wasn't about to get rid of item one. And then unfortunately, she just disappeared. She was a doctor, had her own practice, veterinary practice, and she just we actually we firmly believed she was possessed, and we scheduled the exorcism. And my mentor at the time was going to fly out here from Oklahoma, and the doctor just disappeared. She closed her business down to clothes on her back and in one suitcase and a few other important items she threw in the back of her truck, and she just disappeared. We filed, left everything in her home. We filed a complaint, not a complaint, but a report with the police, and that's ongoing. But yeah, she just disappeared. So I think she took that, what you had just said, she took that way too far with all of that.
Well, and sometimes it's not even the person's. It's not even, once it gets to that point where you're kind of overwhelmed with these things. If it was every room of her house, darker entities and spirits and things like that can absolutely trick us into, they can start drawing us to them unconsciously. You know, I was talking to my daughter about this, about houses we've lived in, and I'm much more aware of it now. But when they were younger, before I, you know, when I completely blocked out any of my intuition and things like that, we would move into these houses that I would think were like complete tunnel vision, like, this is the house I have to have, this is perfect. And it would be the most haunted house. There would be, like, once I started doing the historical research, there were so many things that had happened, and I'm like, this house was purposely drawing me to it, you know. But if you're not aware of that, the same thing can happen with antiques. The same thing can happen with people, for that matter. The same thing, you know. And that's why I say, when, like, with Halloween decorations and with what I read, what I watch on TV, things like that, I'm very aware of it, because even balancing missing persons cases and cold cases and things like that, I'm very aware of it, because when I got on, especially being autistic, I tend to hyper focus on things. And so when I started researching a certain um, serial killer, I'm pretty positive I started getting stalker. I'm What you seek seeks you, you know.
Yeah.
So I started drawing a lot of probably really dangerous people to me, because there was no balance. I'm not saying you can't do that at all. I'm just saying there has to be balance. It's no different than paranormal researchers, things like that. I've known so many that get so involved of doing case after case after case, and they start having heart attacks and strokes. And that's why you have to take a break from it, or accidents start happening. You have to have, your vibration has to be very high to be able to do things that like that on a consistent basis, and it not affect you physically. Um, and you have to have healthy breaks from it as well, I believe. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
oh, at the beginning of your show, it's funny. I don't think I told you this, that I'm going to Prague at the beginning of next year.
Really?
Yeah, so I thought that was
That's interesting. And the
yeah,
prayer, yeah, the prayer was the infant baby Jesus of Prague. That's
yeah.
very interesting. See, things are just the psychic connection here is flowing. Um, I'm going to let you and Annette chat for a little bit because I know that she's excited and she had a question for you too.
Yeah, and I agree with Father Shawn. You look lovely today. I
Oh,
love
thank
your
you.
hair like that. And I was so excited that you were coming back. And I love the Civil War topics, but I was wondering if it would be okay if I brought up that question that I got, because I wanted to see what she would say about it too. It's really interesting.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
it's something that Father Shawn wrote about in his book, but I have not experienced this. This is a question. I didn't write it down. A question of you see a person in your house, a family member, and they're in one room, and then you see them somewhere else in the house. So you're seeing multiples. And this happened to her recently, and then once before, where she wasn't seeing someone multiple in her house, but she was seeing a family member in her house that wasn't really there. And it was late at night, and just saw her walking in the hallway. And I don't even know what to say about that. What causes that? What's behind that? What's going on when that happens? Because you've had that, right? Your wife has seen you, and then she sees you again somewhere else in the house at the
And then
same.
and we both get she'll call me, I'll go to her, and she's not even in that room and didn't call me, and vice versa. She'll hear me call her, she'll go to that room, and I'm not in there, and I didn't call her. But yeah, I haven't seen her doppelganger. I haven't seen my own doppelganger, but she has seen me a few times sitting right here at the desk in the office. And it looks like I'm working, and she doesn't disturb me because I look busy. And then she'll, like the one time when we realized it wasn't me, she had, right from seeing me, she immediately walked into the master bedroom to go into the master bathroom, figuring it'd be okay to go in there and do whatever because I won't be in there. And there I was in the bathroom. And when we both came back out to come over here, we saw a child walk out of the office. And then she said she had seen that child before. And it's interesting that we have a picture of that apparition in my first book. So, and people that have gotten the first book have reported seeing that apparition in their home after receiving the book, only from buying it off of the website, not off of Amazon. I may have had one person off of purchasing on Amazon reporting weirdness, but usually the people that have seen that apparition have gotten the book from my office, sat here for a while, picked up whatever it picked up, and then after I autographed it and sent it out, something traveled with it, which I find amazing.
What do you think is behind it? Is that something malevolent, or the only thing I had that's anywhere similar to that is one book that I was working on, and I was alone in the house. I sneezed, and then I heard myself sneeze behind me,
Yeah.
and I thought that was very freaky.
Well, what's weird, it's like what Trish said earlier, and then I'll shut up. She said, "What you seek seeks you." I don't seek what in my own defense. I don't seek
Right.
um, these cases or the demonic or anything like that. But they come. We have paranormal drive-bys here all the time. I'm constantly blessing, cleansing, smudging my home, and I say mass here every day in the mornings. So I think that keeps everything at bay. But I always know a case is going to come up to me because those things will act up here in the home probably 24, 48 hours before my phone rings and it's somebody needing help. So I think it's all tied in, but I agree with Trish. What you seek seeks you, but the doppelganger thing is I have no theory. I don't know.
I think that's hard to answer because there's multiple things. I've experienced these in multiple different ways. For instance, when we first moved and were in transition, and my son was living with my sister, and my daughter and I were at a different location, I would sometimes see him like pop up in different places, in the house. And I think that was a thing where it was like he was probably astral projecting because, you know, we were separated, we were away from each other. So that I actually thought was like a projection thing of the living person, you know. Now, a second scenario, there have been instances where people have seen me in a completely different town. They're like, "Oh, hey, Trish, I saw you running and, Topeka." Yes, I'm like, I wasn't anywhere near there. That's kind of weird. So my theory, I'm like, I haven't decided on that, whether that's like a doppelganger thing or where it's this multi-dimensional, uh, this multiverse we live in. Maybe for whatever reason, one of us slipped into a different part of our being, and that's the part they witnessed. And then other time, the echo thing, when you all say that someone like you sneezed and something behind you sneezed, or that happens so often in the forest, those are tricksters. So I wouldn't say they are always negative. However, you have to be very careful because in almost every culture, in Native American beliefs, in witchcraft, in every, even down to um, demonic entities and stuff, they can mock. And when you talk about like walkers and stuff, um, that's how they draw people to, like kids out to the forest. They call their name and it sounds like a family member calling them, and then they draw them out into danger or things like that, or they draw them out to put them in danger. So that one you have to be careful about. If it sounds like an echo or like a mocking scenario. Um, so that was the third. Now the fourth, which has actually been all over the news. I wasn't even aware of this until literally on my way here. Is extraterrestrial, like literal interdimensionals who also tend to try to um, mimic humans. So that's something else. And it's hard to discern, which one you're dealing with. I know from a demonic level, when I lived in upstate New York, um, it was actually right on Lake Ontario, right where the Battle of 1812 happened. Like literally, that I lived right there, and I thought that I was having this conversation. We had all these hornets and wasps, like all of a sudden invade my house one night. This is in the middle of winter, by the way. And so as you both know, any type of infestation like that, especially when it's sudden, usually isn't a good thing at all. And so something woke us all up in the middle of the night, and I thought that my partner at the time was downstairs, or he was actually physically downstairs, but I thought that I was having a conversation with him.
Wow.
I mean, completely did not look, transparent, look like an actual person. We had this whole conversation, and then the man sitting there on the couch, all of a sudden, his face, it kind of looked like I don't know, it kind of changed there for a second. And then the actual person came up behind me and he's like, "Who are you talking to, Trisha?" I was like, what? So that's
Do
true.
you have I take it you're not with this person anymore. And does that does do you having those types of things happening to you, does that affect your relationships?
Um, that's an interesting. So I know it's hard. I know it's very hard to be with me because, well, back then I was terrified of spirits and ghosts and things like that. So it scared me half to death, and we both just kind of brushed it off. So that particular boyfriend, we were together a long time, and every one of my houses were haunted. And he was like, I've never seen anything like this. But we didn't really dig into it. You know what I mean? Now that I'm very aware of this, and this is my lifestyle, and this is what I do, and it happens, but on the flip side, my life is magical. It's absolutely magical. Like I said, certain things happen as far as being connected to people, and it it really does change your outlook and your perspective on the world, and what it the beauty in the world, even with all the darkness too. There's still meaning in everything, and um we miss that a lot, and it's easy to miss when you are dealing with crimes and paranormal and possession and things like that. It's easy to get drawn into kind of a darkness, and um but again, like I said, there's so much positivity on the other side. However, to I don't even want to say normal people. I want to say, but I'm definitely not normal.
I'm
But
not
it's
either.
hard for me to date people because
The only normal one we have here is Annette.
it, but
Sorry.
it's kind of too much. It's kind of too much for most people's minds to um, take in for the most part.
Let
So
me. I got another silly question for you, and then I'll shut up again so Annette can talk to you because she wanted to talk to you about this anthropology trip you took to the Civil War cemetery. But let's say you're totally well aware of the different universes or these, the different dimensions. Let's say you psychically or even physically had the ability to find when these different dimensions are in a flux, let's say, or bleeding into one another, and you're able to maybe interdimensionally travel yourself briefly. And you could go, this is a two-part question. If you met older Trish now from another dimension, what would you hope she would say to you? And if you went and met younger Trish, what would you say to younger
hmm,
Trish?
gosh, and that's I see this a lot with my kids. My daughter's like a mini me, she's exactly like me. But the irony, in one of my past lives, she was actually my mother, and my son was actually my father. And therefore, it causes a very interesting dynamic in this lifetime because they still see me as a child. It was unconsciously for a very long time, and then my daughter started remembering things. And so it's interesting. It's obviously there's a purpose. We're meant to do that, and we're meant to interact with people from different lifetimes or dimensions or whatever you want to call it, because times actually doesn't exist. But um we're meant to do that so we can live in from other perspectives, so we can see why, so we can forgive, so we can heal from things. If something really bad happened, say that if she was my parent in a past lifetime, and I had all of these resentments towards her, and now I'm the parent, and now I see why certain things happen. So I get this kind of deja vu when her and I, um, and that's what I've been studying too. People tend to repeat things also that they, as history, does too, and not just from, I'll say from a scientific perspective, not just if you don't believe in past lives, it follows your DNA. So we create these habits in our DNA, and we don't realize that we're doing these things. I mean, if you, even as a photographer, I realize this. I would wear something and then see a picture of myself 20 years down the road. Facebook does like what happened today, 10 years ago or whatever. And I'm like, man, I pulled this shirt out and I haven't worn it, not this specific one, and it's just something really, specific that you haven't done in 10, 20 years. And you're like, I did that on the same exact day 20 years ago, which you would not have known. You wouldn't have even been aware of or conscious of had you not seen that picture, And so it tells us that we absolutely get in these habits of doing things. And I think that follows, genetically follows, our DNA, because now it's proven that mothers share actual brain cells with their babies, and vice versa. So um, that's going to continue on from every generation. We still have um, these habits that are just continuing, and so I think it's interesting to consider from different perspectives, and it helps you be much more, you just develop a greater empathy for everything and an understanding if you see it like in that way, I guess. It's like the bigger picture. You're both looking at me.
Yeah.
Great answer.
Yeah, I'll tell you what happened to me. I was two things. I was waiting for Annette to jump in with
Well,
something she may want to ask you, but I was also thinking about I don't know what I would, I don't know what I would
it's a
hope
deep question.
and the older me would say to me, and I have no clue what I would say to the younger me. I will later after this show's over with, and I'm like, oh, I wish I would have thought of that during the show, but
Right.
I just stumped myself.
It's a deep question. So, do you want me to ask about the investigation? Are we ready to do that?
I think we are. If Trish wants to talk about it, or if Trish, do you have anything you want to say to Camilla?
Oh yes,
Oh,
is waiting too. Yes.
so that's an interesting. So the scientist, I would probably get a lot of information if I saw the house, because I read, like, if I saw a picture of a house, I read the energy of the location, or like points on a map and things like that. I know there's quite a few psychics that do that. We get the energy from different coordinations and things like that. But the scientists who lived in that house, I'm like, when you sent those pictures, I was like, that seems really familiar. And ironically, I was a scientist in one of my past lives. I don't know where particularly. I thought maybe German, but I'm not sure. But that scientist specifically invented, I believe, the wind turbine, the power wind turbine um, energy. And what's interesting about that is there's a town nearby where I live that has I believe it's one of the biggest in Kansas, because Kansas has these wind turbine places all over. And back in the day, I was like everyone else. I thought they're great. They're going to conserve energy and do all of this. But then once I started learning more about elements and how they affect the world, well, those actually interrupt the natural flow of the wind, obviously. So now the wind's being manipulated, and that kind of causes all these other problems with birds and things like weather and things like that. Not to mention now they're finding out, which I'm sure nobody's heard of. I'm sure they don't talk about this. I only know because I have heard from the local farmers that how much they are affecting the local farms, and their animals, their livestock aren't reproducing like they were prior to those being right next to them. You know, they're huge, and you can see the lights from these things. It's a whole, it looks like a line just that covers the entire horizon of red lights, you know. And I'm about 40 miles away from this town, and we can see them perfectly from where I'm at. And so aside from that, you know, it's light pollution, things like that, they're enormous, and it has such a huge effect
Oh, yeah.
on the surrounding ecosystem.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
that's interesting. So if I was that person possibly in a past life and came up with this great invention, you know, unintentionally knowing the effects it would have in the future, that's also been something that I've been um, you know, researching with different, and we do that as humans all the time. You know, I've done it in my this lifetime. It goes back to your question of, you know, if your future self could tell your past self and your younger self, we only know what we know. You know, we can't. We
Yeah.
always, if you're doing things with the best intention, even scientists, look at Nikola Tesla. He invented all these things, and then towards the end of his life, he started becoming very isolated and not sharing his inventions and wanting to hide them because he knew, he even stated, these inventions will destroy man someday. And he was right, you
Yeah.
know. So there's things that we do with the absolute best intention. And um
I'll hook you and Camilla up so you guys can talk maybe, and she'd be willing to send a picture of the house, but I'll connect you two together.
I think he was from Denmark. Well, yeah, I think
Yeah,
he was
she's
from
in
Denmark,
Denmark.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
he's in Denmark.
um so which goes to how I began my Civil War research and even going into anthropology, which has been, I haven't been back to KU in over 20 years. And it was a very last minute decision this year. It was a very, ironically, my first class, first studies, was called Becoming Human, which is very ironic, you know. Um, and so aside from studying, and I thought, you know, because I always came across bones and I was always fine. So I'm like, I might as well study them, you know. That's, or study how to identify them at least, you know. So um but before that, I have always been huge on historical research and genealogy and things like that, and I was very drawn to a place in St. Joseph, Missouri, which is where Jesse James was supposedly killed. And so I had gone there last year. I did all this research on the Pate House, which is by far one of the most fascinating museums I have possibly ever been to in my life. It was the original Pony Express museum, or Pony Express station, later became the World Hotel. And this place is like something out of Alice in Wonderland, because they literally back then had rooms with doors that were like not even 4 foot high. I mean, they had multiple rooms that people could stay in. And then they also had the world's largest man come stay there. You know, he was like, there's a cardboard cutout. He's like 8'11" or something. So it, it's a it's a very interesting place. But um, after that, once I started, I was like, wow, this is interesting. And so I started researching Jesse James. And then it occurred to me, I'm like, huh, that's weird. I've like literally had the same things happen to me as Jesse James in life, not in the Old West. However, it if Jesse James lived, he was born in 1844. So over 100 years ago, obviously. Um, if a person, if you track their from a genealogy standpoint, they would have hundreds of, you know, it branches out. They would have hundreds of possible relatives. So I'm not saying like the future people are that same person, but if that person's habits, like we are talking about, if things they do in their life and involving karma and things like that, follow their DNA. Okay. So when
I
I was
see where
younger,
you're going with this. I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, when I was younger, I witnessed this little girl get shot in front of a library, right? That was one of the major things that affected Jesse James, because it happened during, he didn't shoot at a little girl. She was caught in the crossfire of people trying to shoot at him during a bank robbery, which obviously was bad. But he ended up writing a letter in the newspaper. She didn't die. He wrote a letter in the newspaper saying that he would pay the family's medical bills, things like that. But I actually saw, and it's always bothered me. Like, I've seen quite a few shootings and stuff because I lived in the ghetto growing up, and even more recently. But that specific one, stuck out to me all my life. Well, then I flatlined. I completely died almost twice on April 3rd, when my son was born, and then the oxygen tank was empty and all that. That's the day that he supposedly died, right? And there's so many other things. Like, he went to, he had an injury on his forehead. Well, first of all, he had an injury from a beer bottle in Colorado on his forehead. I was hit with a beer bottle in Colorado. I wasn't even in a bar. Like, who knows? Maybe I was at the location the old saloon used to be that he, this was just like a drive-by, but it was like with a bottle, not. So there's all these things. And then last February, I got really sick. They said I had pneumonia, and then they did x-rays on my lungs, and they said you have a weird infiltration, like a hole in your lung, in your, I believe it was my right lung. And it ended up being on the same day Jesse James was shot in the lung in the Civil War. And he had gone to Kansas City to the hospital he took him about 5 years to recover from this. So here I have this random hole that shows up in my lung. Like, I'm in this, like, in real life, like, this happened. And then my dog gets sick, right? One night, it was around, I want to say, that might have been like March or April. I had just ordered, her name's Ella, but I ordered her this new patch to go on her harness that said Ella, and it had a star next to it. She gets really sick. She was literally vomiting blood all night. And I was so, I took her to the vet. They did all these tests and everything. And he's like, pretty sure she's fine. I'm like, I thought she was like literally going to pass away. Right. Right after that, I learned that Bella Starr, which rode with Jesse James, a very good friend of his, she was shot multiple times on the same day that my dog got sick. That was Ella Starr. And I'm like, okay. Well, that's a lot of coincidences, right? And then there's so many other things, so many.
You need to write a book.
I was going to say, this sounds like a great book.
And this is and that's the one you want to.
And I know who could help you with that, but it's a great story.
I know that I'm a couple of minutes away from having to kick you out of here. I'm going to just be quiet, and if Annette has anything she wants to talk to you about or ask you, I'll let her do that.
So you went to a Civil War cemetery?
Actually, I went to two battlegrounds. One of actually the largest in the Midwest last weekend, with my anthropology group, and we went to in Missouri, southern Missouri. It's kind of south, near Springfield, Missouri. It's called Wilson's Creek Battlefield, and there was a family that bought a cabin there, and one day they had taken the horses to the kids. They had 11 children in the family, and the kids took the horses to the creek to get water, and a Union soldier came up to them and said, "You run home as fast as you can. There's about to be a battle here." And all of a sudden there were 12,000 soldiers, basically in their front yard. And one of the biggest battles ensued there, because Missouri was they were a split state when it came to whether they were, Union or right. Confederate at the time.
This is so cool, because I used to live in Joplin, and I was at a haunted Civil War site in Carthage, Missouri, that the house was part of the time occupied by the North as a field hospital,
Mhm.
and part of the time occupied by the South.
Yeah. And that's what happened to a lot of them because which Missouri has, even in the northern part of Missouri, from my understanding, there was a lot of Southern sympathizers as well. And then we also went to Pea Ridge, which is in the northern part of Arkansas. And this last week, I also realized I knew my great grandfather, fought in the Civil War somewhere in that area. I knew he was I found out he was in the Arkansas infantry, and they were 100% part of both of those battles. So there's so much history. I mean, you can't. And just being there like that, of course, it just looks like Missouri hills and things like farms and things like that. But to think about thousands of people died there,
Right.
thousands of people for a ridiculous reason. And even today, we, as a world, we fight over the most ridiculous, usually money, power, still,
Right.
things like that. So we haven't actually learned a lot. But
Trish, did you have fun when you come back?
did I what?
Did you have fun when you come back?
Oh, of course.
Listen, I'm gonna cut you out of here, so I don't run over into the next show because
Absolutely.
we've got Spirit Switchboard with Carrie Lynn Shellhorn coming up, and that's a great show, and I don't want to run into her time. But I love you. I respect you. I'll reach out to you with some dates and get you back here, and we'll talk some more about all of these funky things that happen to you in life, and I'll hook you and Camilla up. But thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful remainder to your Friday
You
evening
as
and your
well. It was
weekend,
great.
and give all your kids a big hug and a kiss for me, okay?
I will. Thank you so much. It was great seeing you too.
Thanks, Trish. Great seeing you.
See you later. Bye bye,
Bye.
Trish. I'm so glad she was able to make it.
Me too.
Next week's guest, you're going to love him. I'm not going to say anything other than just his name. He's a retired police detective. He's the host of the Minor Details, the Danny Miner podcast. So Danny Miner will be here next week, the 22nd. You're going to love him.
Very
And
cool.
you ready for the joke?
Let's do
Try
the
to get the
joke.
joke out of here so I don't have any people getting mad at me
This
anymore.
is the fastest hour of the whole week.
Yeah. This is this week's joke. What's brown and sticky?
What's brown and sticky?
I'm going to pull another one. It's a stick. That's not that good.
What's brown and sticky is a stick?
Yeah. I'm going to pull
Oh,
another one. Here's another one. God, I got a lot of people sending me jokes lately. What does a spy do when he is cold?
um,
He goes undercover.
he goes undercover. Okay,
I
well,
love you.
I
Have a
love
great.
you. Great, great.
I'll see you this
Show.
Friday.
Talk to you soon.
I'll get Michelle send a picture of your bracelet and we'll get that loaded up and we'll show everybody next week your bracelet.
Perfect.
I love you. Take care. Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Bye bye, Annette.
Bye.
All right, brothers and sisters. Annette Munich, Trish Mo. I'm a lucky man. I can't think of a better way to spend a Friday afternoon, but with those two beautiful, talented, gifted individuals. Thank you to United Public Radio Network, UPRN 107.7 FM, New Orleans, for picking up my show. God bless Michelle DeRoche for making that happen. She's the coolest. And God bless each and every one of you for tuning in because I mean it. I don't have a show without you guys, so God bless you all. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned for Spirit Switchboard with Carrie Lynn Shellhorn. That's a great show. And sponsors. If you want you or your brand to be given a shout out live during the show, reach out to uprntalkradio.com. Talk to them about being a sponsor and let them know you want to be on Father Shawn's Paranormal Ministry show as a sponsor. So, what else do I want to tell you guys? I love all of you guys. Remember, We may have done what the devil said we did, but we are not who the devil says we are. Good night, Danny. Good night, Jack. Good night, Dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. I love you all. God bless you all in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Peace.